there's a difference between playing hard or playing smart, and he doesn't play smart. I'm sorry, but he just doesn't. That's why Gronk's in the position he's in. He's got a scrambled egg for brains, and his body's been beat to death because he played that exact same way when he was younger. And now here he is, 30 years old, and his body's beat to death. And he got injured again this year, and he was out 3 games. I don't think he's coming back next year.
I just don't. I was just kind of surprised overall. Kind of he was here, but at this point, I mean, hey, if that's what they want to do, I think when you're looking at it from a standpoint, Kelsey is the best tight end in the league. I will say this. I think Kelsey is considered maybe one of the best Chiefs tight ends of all time. Now, I know Tony was great, but it seems like Kelsey just maybe, I don't know if because of the quarterback situation, but Kelsey's potential has been pushed to the roof even more. So I'm very happy from what I see so far. But
that is the main reason. That is the main reason. You got to look at it from this standpoint right now. Tony Gonzalez is the best tight end the Chiefs ever had, simply because he didn't have the talent around him and still made the best out of really nothing.
That's fair. That's
the
fair.
quarterbacks that he had to play with were not. They weren't Alex Smith, and they definitely weren't Patrick Mahomes. So, I mean, he did have a Trent Green for a little while, but very little while, but very short period, I should say. But he didn't have, and you also have to look at it like this. He was also one of the only wide receivers that you could really trust when it comes down to people that can catch a football. He was the guy that you knew that were going to, if he went up for the ball, he was going to catch it. Okay. It was that simple. So he was targeted more than anybody else on our team during that time. So there's so many different factors that weigh into a Tony Gonzalez compared to a Travis Kelce. What makes Travis Kelce and sets him apart is the fact that we're such a different spread offense that he is still the top tight end in the league and he's a rival to Tony Gonzalez in an offense that really doesn't favor any one wide receiver or any one tight end. So if it did, Travis would have 140 touchdowns right now. So instead of 60 or whatever he has, 65 or whatever it is he has right now. So it's apples to oranges really because of the different era, the different quarterbacks, the different
that's fair.
Players that you have on the team. So
all I remember really from Tony Gonzalez is him coming back and then dunking on us, but that's neither here nor there.
He started the dunk here, man. I mean,
I know.
He did,
it's like, come on, man, why you have to do that to us? But
he had his choice, brother. He could have played. He was recruited in basketball. He was an all-star basketball player. The guy was just an all-around.
He's athletic,
phenomenal athlete. I knew the man well, and he's changed a lot. I'm going to say that. He's not the same Tony he was back then. Mentally, he's changed a lot. He's got a lot more arrogant than he was back in the day when I knew him. But it is what it is. I guess that comes with the territory for some people. Other people, it doesn't. There's people I know that played with him for a long time that he doesn't even talk to.
Wow. So, well, it is what it is, man.
Is what it is. So,
but what are your thoughts of this upcoming game against the Raiders? Coming to Arrowhead. Derek Carr said he loves coming to Arrowhead, man. It's a noon game finally. We don't have to wait all day.
Thank God.
Get to roll out of bed Sunday morning. Just have to wait a couple of hours after I watch church, and then the Chiefs play. What are your thoughts?
Well, I got a feeling that it's going to be a very, very lopsided game.
Okay.
And I know the Chiefs are tired of hearing they play better on the road, which they do. I've said it. You've said it. We've watched it happen for the last year and a half that they played so much better on the road than they do at home. But I still think this defense is going to show up again, and they're going to continue to show up because they love what they're hearing right now. They love those single-digit numbers, and they like to see that top 10, in points allowed. I see. I'm going to say 31-10.
Okay.
And that's against a divisional team.
Okay.
So I'm going to say 31-10. Chiefs, by the way.
Yeah, we can't say Raiders, man. We have to get you off there now. Be funny. No, when I'm looking at this game, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like the defense is gonna show up. Tyrann Mathieu, Frank Clark, Chris Jones, Melvin Ingram, Willie Gay, all these guys, Nick Bolton, be like, hey, we're not going to be the earlier team we were in the season. We're going to be here to kick the behind.
Yeah.
Offense, so man, I don't know if we can score. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Andy has, and you probably won't agree with me, man, but Andy need to get out of the vanilla playbook. We got to score. We got to bear some teams.
He buried him the last time.
That's a once. I feel like that was just a fluke.
No, I think it's.
And maybe that's a little harsh, but and from my standpoint, is this that was more of a prove-it game. Okay, if that's a prove-it game, we should have been scoring a lot more against the Cowboys. It's different things like that. We should have scored more against the Broncos. We should have scored 30 against the Broncos. We're just being honest.
Who was calling the plays against the Broncos for the who was not?
Well, okay, Andy was calling plays this whole
who
time,
else was calling plays.
Man, we ain't talking about it. Was it Bieniemy?
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, someone gonna have to figure out who's gonna call the calls, man. And the offense got to figure it out. They have done great things. Just my frustration. I'm not saying that was a fluke what they had, but it seemed like Andy was finally like, okay, pedal to the metal. I was like, oh, finally, 41-14. We literally came in and beat the brakes off them in their stadium, the Death Star. Patrick Mahomes came in with all his guys came in like the Rebel fleet in the Star Wars Episode 4 and blew up the Death Star. I mean, it's just kind of crazy when you're looking at. But kind of from what I'm seeing from this standpoint is that if the offense can be consistent, score touchdowns, not have mental lapses like drop balls and stuff like that, they can win this game. But I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I'm gonna say the Chiefs win this game. It's gonna be probably like, I hate to say this, but 17-13. Just through the offense is not scoring. That's just my opinion from what I've seen. Now I see your face. You look disgusted. But man, disgusted. I just need to see them score some more. For being honest,
I understand what you're saying. I'm
being like, look, every time I pick them to score with 30, they score like in the teens. I'm like, well, I mean, maybe this will be a teen game. Maybe this is a game Patrick Mahomes figures it out.
It's funny because you say that happened to me when we were playing the Raiders the first time. I said, well, I thought it was probably going to be like 28-17 because I figured, and it could be opposite because you just don't know with us right now. And we ended up, beating the brakes off of them. But
yeah,
that's, in the division right now. And I know Andy's mindset, and his mindset is every divisional game we got to play, and we got to play hard, and we got to beat them, because if we want to get where we want to be, then we have to beat the brakes off and give them no opportunity to win. And especially in our division, not to just talking about AFC in general, but AFC West. And we don't want the Raiders to get the playoffs. Okay. It's just that simple. They're hanging on by a thread right now.
Oh yeah. We can really knock them out.
We can knock them out right now. And not only that, we went out in our division. We got 3 games left in our division. We went out in our division. That puts us at least at the number 2 seed. At least at the number 2 seed.
Well, right now we're winning. Yeah.
So I see us going in there with some tenacity and just kicking the shit out of them is what I see. I think, and I'm not afraid to say this because it is what it is. Look, in that Raiders game, Eric Bieniemy was nowhere to be found. He was sitting on a bench, delegating players when Andy called the plays. We scored 41 points. The defense looked good. Travis Kelce was glowing like he was pregnant. I mean, I don't know any other way of saying it. Mahomes looked like a totally different player. Everybody on that team was happy, smiling, giggling, blah, blah, blah. Everybody was happy. I'm not going to be afraid to say it anymore. I'm tired of keeping my mouth shut. Okay. I'm tired of doing it. I have been doing this all season. I've been doing this since week 3. I have been talking to you about it and a couple other people. I'm tired of being quiet about it. Look, this whole fucking, excuse my language, this whole season has been predicated upon a problem that was internal. The internal issue is arguments between a certain offensive coordinator and his way of doing things, and players and their way of doing things and how Andy does it and those players do it.
And
Andy
defensive coordinator too.
And a defensive coordinator that didn't get along with not a defensive coordinator, but a defensive coach that didn't do his job the right way and caused a lot of shit. So I'm going to say it, and who doesn't like it, I don't care. Come after me later. When Andy's calling the plays and EB has nothing to do with it, we win games and we win them well. When EB's involved, there's problems. There was a problem in the Broncos game, and it's not the first time it's happened. Mahomes got all up in his ass, and he had every right to do it.
Well, I think we saw a lot of Twitter saw the video. They were going back and forth.
Yeah, and that's not the first time it happened. It happened in
the Cowboys game.
Game. And it was when he went to Josh. I think it was when he went to Josh on an offbeat pass that wasn't meant for Josh, but nobody else was open. And Mahomes knows how to play the game. It's not like he hasn't went to 2 Super Bowls. So the enemy had to open his mouth and say something to him. And that started another problem. It's like he's purposely trying to piss him off. And if you're going to do that, then sit behind the Gatorade jug and play a video game on your phone, play Madden, do whatever it is you got to do, but stay the hell out of it if you can't. Get your ego and put it to the side.
I mean, that's one thing Andy always says, check your ego at the door. From what you're saying, that's been the issue.
If your fucking ego is too big, then check it at the door. It's that simple. Because if you can't let this team win, you shouldn't be here. And you might as well kiss your head coaching job mindset goodbye. Because that is going to end real quick. You may not be an offensive coordinator next year the way you're acting. I mean, there's nobody in this league if you think people are blind that are way smarter than I am in this league, you're stupid because they see everything that's going on. I hear the stories. I have a lot of friends in this league, as you know, Caleb, and I hear this stuff.
You tell me a lot of stuff you hear and some stuff like, wow, well, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then I have other people that call me up and go, wow, you were right. This is not a joke.
Reporter friends of ours, they call you literally be like, yeah, he was right.
Yeah. So this is not something that I wanted to get out. I had to get it off my chest because it's become a nightmare. And Andy needs, I love Andy because he is such a loyal guy and he's not one to throw people under a bus. He's not one to cause a lot of issues. He's not one to make people look bad. But you know what? At some point, you got to see it. You got to believe it. When you see it, you know it's true. It is what it is. This has been a problem. And when you go from looking like you're glowing pregnant to the next game when somebody else is calling the plays and you're missing passes, you look miserable, you look unhappy, everybody else looks unhappy. Andy's on one side of the field, Bieniemy's on the other side of the field. There is a problem. If no one can see that, and not only that, they're not even panning towards our sidelines like they normally do.
Yeah, we normally pull Reed, Spags, Bieniemy normally, and it's mainly just Andy. They don't even show Spags anymore, so I was kind of surprised. But it's normally you see Andy normally sits down next to pound the bench. He's not even doing that anymore. So like it's been a whole disarray, I guess you can say. So
it has been, and it's going to end. I don't know if it's going to end this year, but knowing Andy, it probably won't because he's not that guy. But I don't see Bieniemy being back here the next year. I don't know where he's going to be, but he ain't going to be here. And
that's your bold prediction?
Bold prediction. He won't be here next year. Andy will be.
Well, and I think something like when we were talking about something and then, someone was kind of basically saying something on ESPN one day and it didn't even get much traction as we thought. But I think they said that Bieniemy's calling the play calls and that's why they've been sputtering. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it's right after we said it on the show.
So I think people are starting to kind of realize that now. It's like, yeah, they're struggling when Bieniemy does the play calling. But at the end of the day, that's neither here or there. I think this team can pull together when it comes through to the future. But I think what we're looking at now is that, yes, they were able to turn around, but they just can't have these games when it comes to the playoffs. They have to play kind of basically perfect football. So I think we're just kind of standpoint where we're like, okay, so we'll see what happens. But I think what we're looking at now is a team that can control their destiny. They just have to continue to push through, and if they can continue